anything. I must have rolled the rest of the way onto the desert floor. That is where I returned to life only a few seconds later. I will admit, I was disappointed. The last thought I had before crashing down the ravine was that if you are an orphan, anyone can kill you and no one will cry. I am a twice orphan. First, my parents died, then the old widow who took me in. And in fact, before these men were my murderers, they were my new family. I suppose I am a thrice orphan now. When I awoke at the bottom of the valley, I could see the camel drivers and horsemen of the caravan positioning themselves between their herds and the mob of men running down the hills, swinging swords and screaming, "Nothing, something, 2 is 2." They were almost on top of me. I scrambled to my feet. A stone skipped across my head. I shrieked and sprinted toward the caravan in the oasis. My legs bled from 6 cuts. Brother Fairs caught up to me, but he had been my best friend in the temple. When I cleaned the bread baskets, I would collect the crumbs and bring them to the pigeons he cared for in the firelight tower. I looked back as I ran. He loomed above me. Maybe he was sorry. I don't know. Instead of his sword, he swung a young myrtle branch that whipped across my shoulders. He also shouted the law I had broken. Nothing, something, 2 is 2. But it didn't sound like a curse when he said it. I replied with more screams as the branch cut me, and I sped up. I waved my arms at the caravan guards and hoped they would take pity on me. I was dizzy. My mouth had more dirt than tongue in it. As I ran to them, the guards drew their swords. A demon on my shoulder, who was never my friend, whispered in my ear, "You are not worth the battle. They will hand you over to your murderers." But even in despair, I would never listen to a demon. I ran up to one of the caravan guards and tried to reach for his belt, but he stepped away. I fell to my knees to grab his bootstraps, but he kicked at me. He tried to keep me away without touching me. He spat on the ground between us, but I crawled over it anyway. I said, "Please, I beg you." "Jafe," said the guard in a gruff voice. I didn't know his people's tongue, but didn't need to. He wanted calm. The camels were stirring at the noise, but the tarpan horses were especially susceptible to panic. Probably because they are such short animals, and like children, they can't look grown men in the eye. The brothers arrived at the oasis and stopped short. Brother Zesht elbowed forward and shouted, "Stand aside and we'll take what's ours." "Chemige?" said one guard to another. The other shrugged. Everyone but me had a sword. The merchants finally roused themselves from their naps under the poplar trees. Through the guard's legs, I could see a round man arise from a Persian rug. Beside him was an ancient and bedraggled donkey who did not get up and may have been dead. The man removed a set of bronze eye shades he had been using to sleep. On his balding head, he placed the cone-shaped felt hat. He was not old and not young, not tall or short, not rushed as he walked toward us, and not at all worried. He smiled through his reddish-brown mustache, and though I had too much dirt and blood in my eyes to see sharply, I thought for a slight moment he winked at me. In short, he was a kind fool who had no sense that he was walking into the standoff of 2 amateur armies. He approached and placed a meaty paw on a guard's shoulder. "Well now, what's this, my good man? Do we have guests?" The guard kept his eyes on the sword-wielding mob, but answered, "Michonim bachera sang bezanan." The merchant looked at me, then at the monks, then laughed and said, "Excuse us." He spoke with the guards in their language. The monks shifted. We all took a moment to catch our breath. I could feel my wounds pumping blood out of my body in the rhythm of my heartbeats. I am not very large, you see, and only just 12 years in this life of sorrow. I wondered when I would run dry. The portly merchant looked over his shoulder during his conversation with the guards and shouted back at the camp, "Rasim! Rasim, you sleeping beauty, arise and come, come!" "Don't shout at me," hissed the new voice. A skeletal man slithered out from between several camels where he must have been hiding. He was the opposite of a beauty. The air wheezed through his crooked teeth as he approached. "Rasim, we have guests," said the first merchant. The man named Rasim looked at the mob and the guards. Then he looked down at me as though I was a worm. "Don't be a fool, Samir. Let them have..."